Waterfall, the CCW podcast.
Hello and welcome to Waterfall. It is the water saving podcast brought to you by CCW, that's the Consumer Council for Water. I'm Mike and I am here with the guru. Karen always cringes when I say the guru. It is the guru that is Karen. Hello, Karen.
Hello, Mike.
Why do you not wear the guru mantle comfortably?
Because I don't necessarily see myself as a guru for anyone.
I think we all disagree. Producer Tom and I, we look to you. So, I'm Mike, this is Karen, we're here, we're the Waterfall team, and of course, producer Tom, who really actually keeps the whole thing running. Don't forget, you can contact the show, podcast at ccw.org.uk. We've been loving hearing from you, and we do actually promise to write back to everyone who writes to us, and we have been doing so, and Karen has promised to pull her socks up and take her turn answering the emails. And don't forget, you can also give us feedback on the Apple Store, and you can give us 5-star reviews. That's in my head, you're giving us 5-star reviews. Give us any review you actually want. We would just love to hear your feedback. So, in today's episode, we are, well, I think it's fair to say we're grasping the nettle that is leaks, and it is our important and controversial subject. And it's certainly one that gets people hot under the collar, and I suspect we will be getting quite a lot of feedback on this show. And do you know what? That is completely understandable.
Yes, I mean, I think one of the things that we probably need to explain is that we're all responsible for the pipework on our property. And the leakage that water companies report includes leakage from customers' pipework too. And as I say, that's not a well-known fact. And it's often why it's quite difficult to compare leakage that's reported in the UK with leakage that's reported elsewhere.
So just to be clear, the leakage numbers that we hear in the media, for example, and people get rightly cross about, that includes leakage on the bit of the pipe that we all own.
That's right.
Okay, that isn't well known. So that's leaks on our side. Let's call it our side. And so we're responsible to sort those. So this is quite an unusual episode of Waterfall because often we're talking about tips and hints to save water. And really, when we're talking about leaks and preventing leaks, we're actually talking about preventing wastage.
Yeah, that's right. So whether it's the leaks on our side of the pipework, whether it's neighbours, wherever the leaks are coming from, it's really important that we don't waste water, and because there is an impact on the environment because we're losing water, so we're having to abstract more. It's a waste of carbon emissions because of the processes that the water has to go through to get to our homes. If there are leaks on your pipework and you're on a meter, it's actually costing you an awful lot of money as well because you're paying for the water that you're not using.
Yeah, and that can all add up if a leak is running and you're not aware of it, and it just keeps on going. So that is the focus of this episode, is leaks, and particularly leaks on our side, and what can we do about them. So we're going to find out much more about leaks on our side of the pipework, how to spot them, and what can be done to sort them.
The human body is roughly 60% water. This podcast is 100.
So as I think we all know, water companies leak quite a lot of water, around 20% of water that is put into the supply for us to use. We also know that it is a topic that winds people up, and that is completely understandable. If people see a leak, even if it's just a dribbler that is running for days on end, that can really irritate people, and they want to see those fixed quickly. And we'd all want to see water companies taking action to fix the leaks swiftly, particularly prominent ones that a lot of people can see. But we're not going to spend too much time on Waterfall discussing water company leaks, mainly because it is a subject that gets people really angry. And, I don't want Karen chucking the chairs around in anger, and Tom, the producer, is already looking a little bit worried. But I think we all agree water companies need to do more about reducing leakage. And the message from us is, if you do see a leak, please report it. That's really important. Please report those leaks. Karen, is leakage a topic that makes you angry?
I don't know if it makes me angry, but I think it's something of a great concern to us all, and I think we all agree that certainly the companies need to do more to reduce leakage, but we can all play our part in this.
I don't think I've ever seen you angry, actually, Karen. I think the strongest I've ever seen is, let's describe it as mild irritation. So is there anything that actually does make you angry?
I can't think of anything at the moment, apart from possibly the badgering and hectoring I get from you.
Okay, point landed. I don't like the fact Tom's are agreeing massively with you here. This is not good. But it's interesting when we talk about the customer side leakage. Let's get away from jargon. The leakage on our pipes that we're responsible for, that it is estimated that around 20 to 25% of all leakage comes from the bits of the pipe that we own. That is a lot. And that's a surprising figure to me. That seems like a lot, because does that mean that lots of people are just walking past leaks then on their side of the property, or what's going on? Or is it that they just can't see them?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I think, there's only sort of about 60% of properties that have meters at the moment. And that means that it's quite difficult for property owners without a meter to be able to sort of check what's happening on their pipework in terms of leakage. So
can we just clarify in the simplest way possible? Because I understand there'll still be people where I don't really know what you mean by my pipes and water company's pipes. What pipes are our pipes?
Well, basically, if you imagine a sort of, an average house, the pipe that goes from the company's main into your house is the one that you're responsible for. So basically, from the property boundary into the house and all the internal plumbing is your responsibility.
So the moment the pipe crosses into your property, that's the bit that you are responsible for?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. Now, this is interesting because in other utilities, that's not the case. And I know this firsthand because my energy, the equivalent of the energy pipe, the big fat wire, on my property broke, and that was the energy company's responsibility to fix. So the responsibilities are different between utilities, which can be then confusing for people.
Yeah. I mean, if you go to your water company website, they often have quite a useful diagram showing pipework responsibility.
We should stick a link to a picture in the show notes on this, just so we can be crystal clear for people.
Yeah. And I think we've actually got one on our website as well, so we could even use that.
Okay, well, let's do that. Because I just think we have to be absolutely clear on this one. And if you do have a leak, though, on your side, you're not on your own. There is help out there. And that's what we're going to be discussing and focusing on in today's episode of Waterfall.
CCW, passionate about championing the best interests of everyone who uses water, now and in the future.
So how on earth do you find out if you have a leak on the pipes that you own, but yet you can't see because they're buried?
Well, if you've got a water meter, it's really important to keep a check on how much water you use on on a usual basis, and it gives you the chance to be able to do the occasional check to see if there's anything unexpected happening. So, what you can look at is if your water use has suddenly gone up when you get your bill through. It might suggest that you've got a problem on your part of your pipework.
So keep an idea in your head roughly of what you spend. So then if there's a big change, you can then ask questions about that if you can't explain it. So if I'm taking a new hobby of, say, diving, and I've been filling my baths extra high so I can do dives into them, then my water use will be going up. But I'll be able to explain that because of my new hobby, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if as far as you can tell, your normal sort of water using habits haven't changed, and you suddenly see a spike in your bill, it might suggest, or your bill's gone up, it might suggest that there's been a problem.
Well, that's the other thing that we want to try and avoid, right? Nasty surprises. So, finding out that you've got a leak because you suddenly hit with a bill that's twice as big as you're used to. And I mean, that's not ideal, is it? That's not the best way to find out that you've got a leak. And actually, wouldn't it be good? And I know some companies do this, but wouldn't it be good if all companies kind of proactively monitored people's bills relative to their usual bill and actually got in touch with customers if they saw something going astray?
Yes, and the good companies do.
I know, well, that's really helpful, because the last thing you want to do is get this massive bill and then have to get into a tussle with your water company. It'd be far better if they've spotted that in advance. It's good to hear that some do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, obviously, find where your meter is. If you are concerned that you think you might have a leak, if you can turn all the water using stuff off in the home, so all the taps, nobody's using the shower or got the washing machine running, etc. So you know that no water should be being used in the house. If you go out, look at the meter and it's still moving, that suggests that at some point there is a problem on the pipework.
Okay, so that's good. I mean, that's something we've talked about on other shows. And don't forget to check out the back catalogue of our shows. It's good to know where your meter is and keep an eye on your use. Because that can be a helpful thing to do. So if you do suspect you've got a leak and you want some help, well, what do you do? I mean, are water companies silent on this, or are they wanting to help their customers?
They all have slightly different approaches to the level of help that they offer their customers. But all of them will, if you get in contact with them, provide a free sort of leak searching service. So if you like, they'll come out and they'll try to find where the leak is actually located. And that's really helpful, because you can then decide what you need to do next to get that leak repaired. I mean, some companies do offer a free repair service. Some offer a sort of subsidy, so they'll make a contribution to the cost of getting the leak repaired. So it's really a good idea, before you do anything else, is to actually check out what your company is prepared to do to help you. And then what will happen is, if it is confirmed that you've had a leak, they will adjust your bill to make a leakage allowance for you. And that's as long as you get it repaired in a reasonably short period of time.
So far we've been talking about leaks in the context of people having meters, and then they can see it and identify it because their meter's whirring around. What if you're not on a meter?
Well, that's a bit more difficult, particularly if it's on the external pipe that we were talking about earlier. Often you may see some water appear on the surface. So whether that's if you've got hard standing or you've got a front garden, but you can sometimes see sort of water accumulating on the surface. It might just be that you've got a particularly green patch of grass in your front garden. The other thing that might be a giveaway is if you've noticed that there's been a drop in the water pressure in your house when you sort of turn the tap on or use other water appliances. So if you think that there might be a problem, again, same advice, get in contact with your company, see what help they're prepared to provide, and certainly do that before you contact a plumber.
So just something that's come to mind while you were talking there, Karen, is if you are not on a meter, right, so you're just paying your flat rate for your water, and you think you got a leak, and you just go, nah, I'm not going to do anything about it. Can a water company force you to fix it? Like, what's your obligation? Because it feels like, public spirited people would go, I want to fix this. But what if you didn't? You just went, yeah, whatever. I don't have to pay for it. I don't care.
Well, there is something that the companies can do. If they discover that you've got a leak on your property, they can serve what's called a waste notice. And that requires you to get the repair done within a stated period of time, and that's really important, because a leak going unchecked can result in subsidence and can cause property damage as well.
So it's well worth getting it fixed, even if you haven't really got that incentive. Well, I think most people would anyway. I mean, I don't like the idea of, I'm on a meter, but I don't like the idea of a leak running and going unchecked.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Now, changing tack slightly, pivoting to something related to leaks, is that my water company, and I don't think it's uncommon, always tries to flog me some form of insurance that promises to look after me if I have a leak on my pipework. And there's always some very attractive offer, like free for 6 months or £1 or 50p or something for 6 months, and then significantly more after that. Now, I've always resisted, again, mainly because I don't want to shell out for this kind of stuff. But what's your view on this?
Well, I have got one of these insurance covers that covers my central heating system, my boiler servicing and all that kind of thing, which I extended to also cover my external pipework. And that just gives me the peace of mind that, if ever anything happens, regardless if it's in or outside the house, I'm covered. But it's really worth checking your household insurance policy when you come to renew that, because often they can include cover for those sorts of things. But again, I'd really start off by checking what support your water company offers, because some of the assistance schemes that the water companies provide are really quite good, and do provide you with a lot of support if you do discover you've got a leak. You've got to decide what suits you. The one thing to remember is that any help your water company offers won't be sort of done as an emergency call out. Because they just haven't got, the numbers of teams available to do those sort of quick turnaround things. So, you might want the peace of mind of having one of those policies.
So I think there's a message. I think policies, there are options there. You've got a policy. I've not got a policy. That's a personal choice. I think it's also important to add that you may get something from your water company trying to sell you these things. And just because it's your water company who's introducing you to these companies, there's no obligation to do this. This isn't part of your water bill. So let's just be really clear on that this is a separate thing. I just think that's important so that confusion. And I think it's a good point about your home insurance policy, because I know one of my insurers, one of the times when I was with, you change them every so often, but one of them certainly threw in, will cover all your emergencies as well as your kind of basic home insurance. So you're right. I wouldn't have needed that cover then as well. Really useful stuff there, Karen. I knew the guru would know.
And the other thing to just remind people is if you do get to the point where you are going to get your own plumber in to do the work on your pipe work or whatever, it's always a good idea to go for a water safe plumber, because they have been guaranteed to be able to do the work to a required standard.
Yeah, so we were talking about that actually in the bathroom episode. Water safe plumbers. So these are approved plumbers. We know they're going to do a good job. They're reputable. So great shout there, Karen. So we've talked about leaks on your pipework, what you can do, how to find them. There's also leaks that could happen inside your home, on the pipework too. And I think it's worth touching on that and those areas too, because that can waste a lot of water too. Now they are easier to spot, because you can see, damage being done, or you can see the leaks accumulating, but they may be easier to identify, but they're still an absolute pest to fix. I'm pretty lazy, so I tend not to try and fix these sort of things myself. I don't like the whole, dripping taps at the moment. There's a trend within modern taps to have cartridges instead of washers. And the thing I don't like about them is that these cartridges cost like £5, whereas a washer used to cost like 30p. So actually the kind of motivation to fix it is diminished because the cost is much higher. And in fact, my parents had a leak, a dripping tap. And they had to replace the entire tap unit, which just seems wrong to me. That just seems completely inefficient way of doing it. So sometimes the kind of more modern and fancy taps actually have a bit of a sting in their tail as well. So there's a question about when you're buying stuff, watch what you buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in a previous episode about leaky loos.
Can we talk about Craig Phillips again from Big Brother?
Oh, do we have to?
Love Island, Karen?
Moving.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
No, but the thing is, there are some designs of modern toilets that are, were always intended to be more efficient with water, but actually end up leaking. It's another example of where, you have to make the choices of what equipment you use fairly carefully.
Yeah, I think the phrase we used was they give with one hand and take away with the other, because they look on the face of it being more efficient, but because they have a tendency more to leak. Actually, in the long run, is it a zero-sum game? Who knows? But you got to keep an eye out for those leaky loos. And I think, we gave a whole lot of tips and hints on how to do that in the bathroom episode, but spotting them can be the challenge.
Yeah. And also, any appliance that uses water has the potential to leak. I think, one sort of cautionary note would be that, if you've got a problem with a water using appliance, like a dishwasher or a washing machine, it's always best to get professional help in.
So, don't go down the route of going into YouTube and seeing how to repair your dishwasher.
I would really caution against that.
I think that's, again, wise advice. The other thing as well is that don't be complacent about leaks, because you don't assume that because it looks small, or maybe you can't even see it, that it's not doing any damage. And I know we mentioned that a leak outside the house, if it was a big one, could potentially cause things like subsidence, but also end up costing you a lot of money as well if you're on a meter. My parents had the experience, which wasn't very nice, but do you know what? They won't be listening. My dad might, but my mum doesn't know how to turn on a computer, let alone podcast. They had a leaky loo, and they didn't have a meter, and they just left it running. I went to visit them, and I said, "Get your loo fixed. It's like literally churning water through." And they said, "Oh, I will get it fixed at some point." I literally came back 3 months later and it was still running. I was furious, right? They were like, yeah, we'll get it fixed. Anyway, what happened then was they managed to get a blockage in the loo, and all that water that was running started running out, and it flooded like the first floor bathroom. Oh, no. It dripped through to then wreck the plaster and the wallpaper in the floor below. And I did say,
I told you
so. Which I think I got a few choice words back. But it does tell a story that if you leave something and you think it'll be okay, or it's not urgent, just be careful, because, in that case, and this is real, flooring, plaster, wallpaper, that's a big effort where they could have spent not very much money getting a water safe plumber in to just change whatever needed to be changed within the system of the leaky loo. So leaks can be very damaging and pretty upsetting as well. So get them fixed.
Be sure to head back through the archives and check out all the past episodes of Waterfall.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of this edition of Waterfall. I think the key thing for me on this is that when it comes to leaks, it is very easy to get cross at your water company. But actually, it's very easy to forget that we have responsibilities too on the bit of the pipe that we are responsible for.
Yes, I'd agree. I think, and you've very clearly explained why it's really important that we're not complacent when we do discover that we've got leaks. It can damage your property, and it can, in the long run, work out a lot more expensive than if we just got the problem sorted out in the first place.
So key first step, if you think you've got a leak on your pipe work, get in touch with your water company and see what help's available. All of them will help you in some shape or form. So check out your water company's website and do please get in touch with them. Talking of getting in touch, see what I did there? You can get in touch with us at podcast@ccwater.org.uk. We would love to hear your feedback and your ideas for future shows, and please check us out on the Apple Podcast Store. What's it called, Producer Tom?
Yeah.
And give us a rating, preferably one that's, higher than 4. Don't forget to check out the previous editions of Waterfall. So it's bye from me, Mike.
And it's goodbye from me.